So if you only speak Spanish, obviously, if you speak Spanish, you don't understand what I'm saying right now, right? But if you only speak Spanish, you should have one of the devices. So I'm going to say this part in Spanish, actually. So, excuse me. Entonces, las personas que hablan español, que no hablan inglés, se les dio un aparato que están utilizando, que tienen en su oreja. Es el aparato en donde yo voy a poderles interpretar. Parte de las funciones de la interpretación es si necesitamos que hablen un poquito despacio, una persona a la vez. Si necesitamos que hablen un poquito más lento, vamos a hacer esta seña con la mano. Si necesitamos que hablen un poquito más alto de volumen, vamos a hacer esta seña con la mano. You want to do that part, you know what I'm talking about.
So this may be the first time that you've attended an event that is interpreted in more than one language. That is okay. We got your back. To make sure that we can all understand and participate fully, here's what we need everyone who is speaking to do. We're going to ask that you speak at a moderate pace. You're going to need to speak especially at a more moderate pace in between speakers or between languages. If we need you to speak more slowly, we will do this. If we need you to speak louder, we will do this. Only one person should speak at a time because otherwise it is completely impossible to interpret. We use the term one mic, and you will see fists in the air when we are needing to bring everyone back together again. If you speak Spanish and want to say something in English, you will raise your hand and our interpreter will provide interpretation for you. You will need to pause every couple of sentences so our interpreter can keep up. Can everyone agree to these things? Thumbs up? Cool. Great, so when it comes to language access and interpretation, we are all learning together. We're excited that you're here to learn with us tonight and to have this discussion.
Awesome. Thank you, Mel and Ricardo. A little more about KC Tenants. So we've been around for 5 years now, organizing with tenants all over the city, from eastern Jackson County all the way up to the Northland. We've won people-centered policies like the Tenants Bill of Rights and an Office of Language Access, just to name a few. We've shut down harmful development deals that would have resulted in the displacement of poor and working class people, and we've organized with tenants across the city to hold their slumlords accountable. Like us or not, our union has always called the question, who is Kansas City for? Is this city for billionaires, tourists, and people who don't even live here yet? Or is Kansas City for the people who call this place home? Who lived here before it was cool and when it was still affordable? The people who make this place what it is. Our cooks, our bus drivers, our baristas, our teachers. Tonight, we will continue that line of questioning and add another. Why should we pay for a billionaire stadium while our neighbors sleep on the streets? Why would we vote our city away for a ballpark that will only be open 80 days out of the year, when we could come together and demand a city where we all win every single day? Tonight, we want to invite you to abandon your assumptions, at least for the next hour or so, that a new stadium in the Crossroads or the public handout that comes with it is inevitable. The billionaires and their cronies want us to believe that this new downtown stadium is going to happen no matter what, that it's a done deal. But we don't agree. We don't believe that we have to just accept the status quo as inevitable. We believe this because we know that when the people fight back, we win. And we've proved this.
That's right. This evening, we'll be doing both listening and sharing. We'll talk about the sales tax on the April ballot and the proposed Royals Stadium. But we'll also zoom out and talk about Kansas City in general and how our public money is spent. We'll call into question what those in power want us to believe is beyond questioning. Question 1 on the April 2nd ballot will ask Jackson County voters to approve a sales tax to fund a new Royal Stadium in the Crossroads and renovations at Arrowhead. This tax will amount to around $2 billion, and if passed, will be in effect for 40 years until 2064. If passed, I will be paying for this thing until I'm 70 years old. My children will be paying for this tax until they're in their 40s.
That ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right.
That ain't right, Mel. KC Tenants has come out against the tax, but we know that no matter which way the vote goes on Tuesday, the conversation about a downtown stadium won't be over on April 2nd. We believe that the people closest to the problem, meaning those of us who would be paying the tax, must have a chance to share what we really think about what's being proposed. If you love the current proposal, we genuinely want to know why. If you hate it, we also want to know why, but we want to know what you propose instead. What we hear in these forums, in our online survey, and from our door-to-door canvassing will help us determine our long-term demands. Know this, if no one else in this town is willing to fight for what the people want and need, KC Tenants will, even if it pisses some people off. With that said, let's get started. Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of this proposal, we want to invite folks to think deeply about the present. We're going to take the next 4 minutes or so to talk to our neighbors in the room. Don't feel like you need to get up just yet. You can turn to the person next to you, someone you don't know if possible, and share with them what you love about Kansas City. But before we do that, I'll model by sharing with you what I love about the city. So I moved to Kansas City from Texas just 2 years ago, and it didn't take long for me to fall in love with it. I love San Antonio's right down the street. I love the conchos at Elvira's. I love my short walk to PH, PH Coffee, where I work 4 days a week. I love the conversations I get to have every day with my neighbors while I make their coffee. Some of you are here tonight. I love the staff at Uptown Theater that welcomed me with warm open arms the very first gig I worked there. You can't find camaraderie like that in the Dallas music industry, for real. I love Los Alamos and Seven Swans in the West Side. I love Farewell, the all-ages, thriving DIY punk venue in the East Side that packs out shows even on Monday nights. I love the concourse on Cliff Drive where my neighbors of literally all walks of life play basketball together and converse on the benches. I love all the friends I've made that live right around the corner from me. I love this neighborhood more than any place I've ever lived, and I want to grow old here. So now it's your turn. Turn to the person next to you or near you, preferably someone you don't know. Tell them what you love about Kansas City. We'll time you for 2 minutes, and then we'll tell you to switch to the next person for another 2 minutes. So turn around, someone around you.
What's your name?
Walter.
Walter, I'm Atlas.
What do you love about Kansas
What do
City?
you love about Kansas City?
I'd say the food.
The food?
Yeah, the food's pretty good. I grew up in Independence, so I'm a little biased towards
Pretty good
Independence.
place to live, though.
That's super fair. I grew up in like north of AC, so
Really easy to
that's
get
where
around.
I mostly know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've traveled
What
around
kind of
and
food
checked
do you
out a lot of
like here?
city.
Are there any like favorite
This one's
restaurants?
Well, I'm a little biased because I work at Jack Stack on the plaza.
really smart in how they made it,
Good
too.
place.
So, their food's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I don't think Gojo's exists anymore.
You said what?
Gojo's Japanese Steakhouse?
Yeah, no, they closed.
Yeah, they were really good when they were around.
Yes. Have you ever been to Tokyo Japanese Steakhouse?
I don't know. I might have, but maybe it's been a long time.
It's in the Northland by
Okay,
like,
if it's in Northland, then probably not.
okay, you should check it out sometime. It's by like where Metro North used to be, off of 169. It's super, super good. Really good hibachi grill, just like Gojo's.
Well, if I'm ever in Northland for whatever reason, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But, I ride a bike, so that'll be difficult.
That's super fair. If you ever find yourself down there, though, take advantage. It's good.
Yeah. What did you say your name was?
Atlas.
Atlas.
Yes. Do you live in Independence still?
No, I'm in Kansas City. I was in
Go ahead and
KC,
switch to the
but
next person.
stress complications kind of dropped out, you know.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm still working. Got a place to stay.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, cheers. Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, what do you love about Kansas City?
I was like, I told her the food.
That was my first point as well.
I grew up in Independence.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I grew up in Sugar Creek.
Sugar Creek?
Yep, so right around the corner.
Never mind. I don't like you then. I'm sorry. I'm joking.
I was like, hey, a little rivalry's fair though. Yeah. I definitely say I'd agree with the food and the music community because I just like that's just my experience personally. Is going to a lot of concerts in the area and all over the country. And I'm like, I think that's something that makes Kansas City stand out is like how friendly people are when you just go to a random concert.
You know, I got a question. Have you heard of like either like a Based on Confusion or
A what?
Based on Confusion? Or Screen or something? There's a couple local. There's a friend I know who's in a couple of local bands that's like pretty good.
See, I'm like anything. I'm always down. Like I'm like any show. I'm not very specific on genre of music. I'm like I'm honestly like really interested in pretty much all the music, and it's like that's kind of my main point. You go to a random show in Kansas City, you're gonna be welcome there, and like that's kind of how I felt. Something else. I'm like the architecture is really pretty. A lot of really pretty buildings from the early 1900s and stuff. Okay, so you're from it's like you say food like what kind of spots around here? What would be like your go-to?
Well, you know, there's an actual restaurant called Up Dog.
It's called Up Dog?
Yes.
And I know you wanted me to be like, what's Up Dog? But
No, it's a literal restaurant. Yes.
Okay, we're back. I'll do it.
I love seeing everyone chit-chatting together. I know a lot of you don't know each other. So I want a couple of people to share. Anyone in the room want to share what you love about Kansas City? Right here.
I'll just share some. I seen recently at a bus stop, it had a picture of 18 people, and it said 18 homeless people from Kansas City that made it to the top. That just kind of gave me a little inspiration, you know.
Kansas City is a place you can move up. Anyone else want to share what they love about Kansas City? Molly over here.
Yeah, I actually wanted to share what my partner shared because they've been living here for a very long time. And what it looked like before, now is a lot of people have brought their culture in and like their art and the music that they love, and he's seen it grow up from that. And he was saying that he's concerned about the direction it's heading with the developers, and what people have brought in before and what people are bringing in now are different.
Yeah, so we like the diversity that's been coming in. We don't like the gentrification that's coming in more recently, is what I'm hearing. Anyone else got time for one more person to share what they love? You over here.
Yeah, the music community. Just like any concert, doesn't really matter the genre. You go to any of them around here and everybody seems pretty accepting.
I have to agree. We actually have time for one more. Does one more person want to go? You want to go ahead and say something?
I grew up in Kansas City basically in my late adolescence, but in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and into the 90s, Kansas City was a poppin' town. And it didn't take a power and light district. It didn't take a lot of money being spent on a centralized area. You could start north of the river, well, actually down in North Kansas City, and go to a number of clubs down there, $5 listen to live music. Go to the River Key, $5 live music. 39th and Main, live music. Westport, Plaza. We are not playing on the simple things, you know. We were known as a cow town. Why aren't we having rodeos? We don't have to profess to be a cow town, but I mean, we're in the middle of the United States. People will come to us if we have the right things. We don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. So, in the same way with housing, I've seen the housing situation gradually deteriorate. Where I live, 2,300 homes, two largest home associations in the state of Missouri. 60% of it is corporate real estate.
That ain't right.
Real estate.
I'm hearing that we love the culture in Kansas City. I'm hearing that we love, really, that's a big thing, the culture here in Kansas City.
I know.
I'll take one more.
I grew up in Fort Indiana, and I graduated from Northeast High School. I was a teacher at Northeast and East High School for 30 years. I retired in 2013. I came in 1967. But you're right. We had Encore Steel, had good paying jobs. We had Leeds, good paying jobs. At one time we had Wayne Minor, which was a big 9-story housing. They demolished that to make single house. I know it's a different demographic from the 60s when I came, like you, me and you, same age, my friend.
Yeah, we'll have lots of time to discuss all kinds of things tonight.
It's a changing and evolving city right now.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you all for sharing. So it's clear that we love our city so much. It's important that we stay grounded in this because this is what's at stake when people start to see our city not as a place to live and love, but as a place to profit from. One of the first friends I made here was a neighbor who lived 2 minutes from me. But due to unlivable conditions in any affordable apartment in the Northeast, they had to move to Midtown, and now I rarely get to see them. And that ain't right. The stakes are high, so let's get more into it.
Well, everyone, I am that friend that Regina just spoke about. So, hi everyone, I'm Amy. I use any pronouns. So, let's dig into what is being proposed here. To recap, question 1 on the ballot will replace an existing sales tax with a new one, half of which will help pay for the Royals owner, John Sherman's new stadium in the Crossroads. John Sherman is a billionaire who, as of 2020, had a net worth of $1.25 billion. If you don't know, the Crossroads is a part of Kansas City that is known for its small businesses and art galleries. The other half will go to the Chiefs to pay for renovations at Arrowhead. If passed, the tax will be in effect for 40 years at $50 million a year. In total, that's $2 billion. That's 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That was the last 0. 9 zeros. That's a lot of money. And speaking of this tax, what exactly is a sales tax? A sales tax is a tax added to things you buy, like groceries. Most taxes, like federal income taxes or property taxes, are progressive, meaning that the more money you have, the more money you pay. Sales taxes, however, are regressive. In a regressive tax, like this one, everyone pays the same amount, even though not everyone has the same amount of money to begin with. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to put together that with sales taxes, poor and working class people end up paying a greater share of our incomes since rich people just have more money. In addition to the $2 billion, the team will likely ask for at least $700 million more from the city of Kansas City and the state of Missouri. Meaning that if you live in Kansas City, Missouri, you will be paying 3 times for this downtown stadium. And despite early voting being well underway, we don't know how much they're asking for in total because billionaire John ain't giving much away. But But I think it's worth backing up a bit and talking about what we do know and how we got to where we are today. So let's go back to the beginning, when this glitzy new project was just a twinkle in billionaire John's eye. Wilson?
Thank you, Amy. Hi, everybody. My name is Wilson. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a leader with KC Tenants. And yeah, that's right. And Amy is right. We're going to go back, way, way back to 1973, when Kauffman Stadium was first built, and they got a bad batch of concrete. And then we're going to fast forward back like 50 years or so to November of 2022, which is when John Sherman and the Royals first announced in public that they wanted to build a downtown stadium. So one day, billionaire John, he wakes up and he says, Kauffman Stadium is falling apart. That's right. And according to him, it would be actually more expensive for them to fix Kauffman Stadium than to just build a new stadium altogether. And so in his words, we might as well move on up to downtown. Now, of course, the question on everybody's lips is who is going to pay for it and how is it going to be paid for? Because right now, Kauffman Stadium, we're still paying that off as taxpayers, right? That's right. And it is pretty much assumed that billionaire John is going to dip into just about every public cookie jar he can find. But remember this, billionaire John is a benevolent billionaire, right? He thinks he's a good guy. He says he's a good guy, right? So remember that he comes out at this point and he says he's going to put his own $1 billion into an entertainment district that's around the new stadium. Okay, so remember that because it's going to come up later. So a few weeks after this, the Royals launched a series of public listening sessions. Raise your hand if you were at one of these listening sessions. Okay, we got a few people. All right. Now, in these listening sessions, John Sherman says that he wants the public to hold him accountable. That's a quote. And honestly, it turns out pretty quick that we see that these public listening sessions are really more like propaganda presentations. Like literally people are walking up on stage to music, like walk-up music, John Sherman. They are giving out swag at these, and they were even promising free Royals tickets to a Royals game at the first listening session, which we never got one. I did not get my ticket, and I'm mad, actually. I would take it for what it's worth. Yeah. So it's also in these listening sessions that John Sherman first shares the staggering statement that the reason why they need to move is because they got this bad batch of concrete that has concrete cancer. And importantly, we have to name that this study that tells them that, they paid for, right? They paid for the study that says that this concrete is bad, and they still haven't made that study public to this day.
That ain't right. So,
there's also a lot of speculation at this point about where the location of this new stadium is going to be, right? We know that they say it's going to be in downtown, but that could mean a lot of things. It could be in the East Village, it could mean downtown North Kansas City, it could mean the Crossroads, and so this location and a bunch of others are thrown out at this point in the game. Now, if you have been in Kansas City for a while, you will know that this is not the first big public project that we've been asked to pay for as taxpayers, right? There's Cerner, there's Power and Light. And a lot of us, if we've been here for a while, know that those deals do not always actually benefit the people who pay for it. So, in the last meeting of 2022, KC Tenants, the citywide tenant union, held a collective discussion and made a democratic decision to put out a statement against a new ballpark in downtown. And here are the Cliffs Notes. We said that the process thus far had not been transparent, that it had been a sham, and all of the community engagement that they were talking about doing was not legitimate. We also knew that in other cities, their similar downtown ballparks have resulted in the displacement of poor and working class people. And there is no reason that we should think a downtown ballpark in Kansas City would be any different. And then of course, they're asking us to pay for it. So Casey Tenants, the citywide tenant union, was not okay with paying for our own displacement. For about a year in 2023, not much is actually said in public, at least from the Royals, right? And there's all this speculation, and during this time, a bunch of advocacy groups are meeting with politicians, and they are also trying to meet with billionaire John himself. Now, I want to name that these folks are trying to bargain a community benefits agreement, or a CBA, and one of the things that they are putting out is that they have housing demands, affordable housing demands. And to be crystal clear, these housing demands do not come from the citywide tenant union, Casey Tenants. If we were to ask for housing, if we were to negotiate, and that's a big, huge if, we would be asking for much, much, much more. So in summary, 2023 is a long year of nothing when it comes to this project, and people start to get antsy. Which takes us up to the beginning of 2024, this year, when things start moving real quick. So after a few weeks of drama, frankly, back and forth, and some major work put in for billionaires, Jackson County legislators put the question of a new sales tax on the April ballot, despite tons of unanswered questions. Questions like, where's the stadium going to go? Questions like, what other funding is the Royals going to be seeking? Is there a community benefits agreement? If so, with who? For what? Is it going to be enforceable? So finally, on February 13th, I think, after the day before the Chiefs parade, the Royals announced the proposed site of their new stadium, the Crossroads. And y'all, I really think that John thought this was gonna be a hit. I really think that they were gonna be like, oh, the city's gonna love this one. But that is not what happened. And this just shows you how out of touch these billionaires are with the people. Because the immediate response was very bad, overwhelmingly bad. The people were pissed. So dozens of historic buildings would have to be demolished to make way for this Crossroads Stadium. A bunch of local businesses would be displaced. And honestly, people are worried about parking. They're worried about traffic. They are worried about their property taxes going up. They're worried about their rent going up. And in general, they are worried about the soul of this neighborhood that is already thriving, being ruined by a new stadium. And all of these concerns, for the record, are super valid. So it is worth asking ourselves, why the Crossroads? Why? So here's what we know. The Crossroads is near Power and Light District, which is another entertainment district that our tax dollars are paying for. The district is owned by out-of-state corporation, Cordish companies. Now back in 2022, remember, billionaire John, initially promised that he was going to spend $1 billion of his own money on an entertainment district. Well, if the new stadium actually goes in the Crossroads, he doesn't have to buy that entertainment district, does he? Because Power and Light is just around the corner. And a bonus for Cordish companies who owns Power and Light is they will not have a competing entertainment district in a Crossroads, in a different location for a new stadium. So when you make these connections, none of it is surprising, right? These things happen every day. But that doesn't actually mean that we have to be okay with it. Which is why on February 19th, Casey Tenants, the citywide tenant union, updated our demand, and we said that we oppose this 3/8 sales tax because we do not believe that the people should pay for a billionaire's playground that will put our city on a path to losing all of those things that we love. And so the campaigns begin. And the Royals and the Chiefs have each spent at least $1.5 million to go to a campaign firm that notoriously supports right-wing candidates like Ted Cruz. A $3 million investment for a $2 billion return, almost as if they could pay for their own damn stadium. So here we are in March, and institutions like the Fraternal Order of Police, the Police Union, Freedom Inc., and and Chambers of Commerce have all endorsed the Vote Yes campaign, and there is still no enforceable community benefits agreement. The Royals have released a set of commitments, but none of them are legally binding, and even if they were, they would be inadequate. The Royals are putting out tons of ads. Who here has gotten an ad in the mail? Okay, who here has gotten more than one ad? Okay, yeah, so these boys are out here, right? Like John and his boys are out here for real. They're on TV, they're on the radio station, they're in the newspaper, they're knocking on your door. Like they are out here spending money and spouting off veiled threats about the Chiefs leaving Kansas City. Meanwhile, the citywide tenant union has been out knocking doors. We have a survey, and we've been holding forums like this one because we actually do believe that what you think matters. So, on April 2nd, the people will decide. If the tax passes, then the Royals and the Chiefs will prepare their asks for the city and the state, and the proposal will move forward. If the tax fails, the current tax will still be in place until 2031 because the Royals and the Chiefs have 7 years left on their lease. Legally, they could put another tax on the ballot in about a year, and this would give them time to come up with a community benefits process that might be worth a damn, maybe, or they could find the financing themselves. So, I want to hand it over to Gabe, I think, Gabriel Michael Coppage, to ask you all some questions.
Alright, hey y'all, my name is Gabriel Michael Coppage. I'm a proud leader with KC Tenants. I use he, him pronouns. So now that we're all clear on how we got here, we actually want to conduct a quick poll. So everyone should have gotten a nice manila folder when you came in. And there is a red, a yellow, and a green card in them. So get those out now because we're about to use them. So we're about to ask some questions. And so if your answer to the question, I want you to hold up your green card. If the answer to the question is maybe or I'm not sure, I want you to hold up your yellow card. And if your answer is no, I want you to hold up the red card. All right, so let's try this out before we get started. So is it currently Wednesday night? Hold up your cards. All right, y'all are on it. I see it maybe back there. It's been a week, I understand. It's only Wednesday. And do you understand these instructions? Hold up your cards. All right, we love to see it. So first question, do you support question 1, the Jackson County sales tax on the April 2nd ballot? Hold up your cards. All right, right on. Thanks y'all. So next question, do you support the Crossroads as the proposed location for this new stadium? Hold up your cards. All right, right on, thank you. And do you support a new stadium somewhere else? So in a different location, maybe East Village, maybe Northland, but just a new stadium anywhere else? Okay, right on, thanks y'all. So my fourth question, do you think the stadium should stay at its current location? Should it stay at the K, stay at the Kaufman? All right, right on, right on. Last question, do you support any public dollars going to fund a new stadium? Do you want your tax dollars to fund a stadium? All right, thank you so much. This is so helpful. Again, there's no wrong answers, but I actually want to call on some folks. So I saw a lot of folks almost unanimous with red cards for the first question. If you're going to vote no on question 1, does someone want to share why they're voting no on question 1? Yeah, you. What's your name?
My name's Rylan.
Rylan?
Yes. Hello. My very good friend Adriana, who's been on the news recently, some might know her as AP the Poet, lives in Star Lofts, which is the building right across the street from the proposed site of the new stadium. If it gets approved, her as well as every single other person in her building will be displaced. And she is currently in rent-controlled low-income housing.
Right on. So thinking about your friend that would be displaced, if this new stadium went in, it would take out her home. Right on. Thank you for sharing. Was there anybody that held up a green card for this question? I was trying to read the room, but anyone voted yes? Want to share why? Yeah, you. What's your name? Here, I'm gonna sneak over.
My name's Armando Mesa, and I support question one just because I'm really not prepared to lose either one of our teams from our community.
Right on. Yeah, so concerned about the Royals and the Chiefs leaving. No, I appreciate you sharing. So I feel like I saw a more mixed response for a new stadium in a different location. I feel like I was seeing a bunch of yellow cards. Was there a maybe for a different location that wants to share? Yeah, Bazzy, you up front.
I live in Kansas, the Legends specifically, and I'm gonna tell y'all now, there's like a lot of space. I think more people are concerned with the optics of, oh my God, it's in Kansas, like Kansas, trashy ass Kansas. But the reality is, if there's space, then why not move it there? Why move it in a place where it's so congested and things are already messed up and we got potholes for days?
Yeah. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing, Bazzy. So thinking about maybe there's a better location for accessibility, things like that. Right on. You in the back, I know you kind of got cut off earlier, but you were saying you're voting yes. You want to share why, actually?
Yeah.
What's your name again?
Bill. The main thing is we creating jobs within the community. And a lot of money, we can't lose jobs the way the economy is going now. And every person who's getting money is paying taxes in some form, to the police, to the firefighters, to the teachers, all that, and to the people that need kind of assistance in Kansas City. So that's the reason for jobs.
Remember your name one more time?
Bill.
Bill, thank you for sharing. So Bill is concerned about jobs. We got folks thinking about the teams. And I want to move on to, I think, the last question. Folks thinking it should stay at the K. Mr. White, I actually saw you raise your green card that it should stay at the Kaufman. Do you want to share with us why?
I really need more time, but the picture flashed earlier, 72, the stadium itself. Well, I worked on that stadium for 7 months in 1972 before I left to play baseball, and there was no talk of bad batch of concrete, things like that. Concrete cancer. We, as a county, we do get audits of the stadiums. The Barnes and Mack report. It doesn't say anything about concrete cancer. It doesn't say anything about bad batches of concrete. In summary, it says it's state control. And what we're faced with when we talk about jobs, the jobs are mainly equivalent of how long it takes to build a stadium. And the jobs that the vendors are going to be doing, the ticket takers, parking lot attendants, those are not happening jobs. Vendors are very rarely get unless it's a long percent. So I just really feel like from the very beginning of the negotiations with the teams, we pushed back on we pushed back on insurance. We pushed back on the fact that we need a strong community benefits. We need signed leases that are signed leases, but all we've got is press releases and your name on the meeting and say county is signed the lease. I'm really disappointed that we're at this place that we're in right now. I really believe that during negotiations, when I started to push back on some things for the county to be more equitable with the taxpayers, They discovered that they had a couple of legislators that were willing to put this on the ballot without any sign agreement. And I mentioned to them at that time, that I would honor my life, that if you put this on the ballot without any sign agreement, that they will build the Congress. So this happened in January, and they have this vote to us. So the sports authority, I think it came out today, they said they do have signed leases, but the sports authority can't obligate me. So all the propaganda that we're getting about signed leases, signed CBAs, those aren't binding. If they're not binding, then we just do it. And if you're not willing to put your name on it, if you're not willing to have a signature on it, you can't get a two-page say this. So you're missing what you would like to do, but you're not really committing to doing it in a legitimate way. And I think these are the things that I'm concerned about, is that as long as they continue to try to go around you, then I think that's what's going to put us in a position where we may not get what we want. And if it does pass, then pretty much they can give us another checkbook to do pretty much what they want. And that's why they're writing all this. They're not sitting at the table with you, talking about the benefits, talking to me about the stadium, costs, and things like that. And I know that the public subsidy, those things are financed pretty heavily. Have it correct. And so then they say if we don't pass this tax, then we don't look for a place to leave Kansas City, even though they have to wait for another 7 years. And so I feel like when they do that, I feel like they're bullying you for this tax, and they're not being honest with the taxpayer, and they're not being appreciative. So I really believe that. But I think that really we just have to, I don't know what tax, what they fail, so they can come back to the table.
This is former Royal Superior and Jackson County Executive Frank White for his argument to stay at the cake. And I wish I had time to talk to all of y'all, but I'm going to pass it over to Kimmy.
Hello everyone, my name is Kimmy. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a leader with KC Tenants. Happy to see all of you here. For a few minutes, we're gonna go back into breakout groups, and I want you to turn to the people around you, form groups of no more than like 4-ish people. We're gonna ask you 2 questions. The first question is there anything about a downtown stadium that excites you? The second question, is there anything about a downtown stadium that gives you pause or makes you feel anxious? So go ahead and turn to the folks around you, and we'll let you know what the questions are.
No, and the traffic.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just think that, especially with all the other things, it's kind of like, what about done right? But would it be? Probably not.
Yeah, I feel like theoretically, yes, of course, everybody enjoys the idea of a big public hub and, excitement and like with the downtown line going straight into the city. I get it. It's not feasible though. It's not sustainable. And it's not going to go as quickly as I think people want it to go. The fact that there's already the T-Mobile Center there and Howard Light and even on concert days, it's already disgusting.
Have you ever been to like Chicago and
yes.
Yeah.
It's a fucking nightmare. I have. I've been to a million different stadiums that are in foreign cities, and the general consensus is that the more crowded it is, the worse it's going to be.
Yeah, I kind of like, I forget his name, but I like the idea of having an outlet somewhere where it's not going to displace anything and actually would just only kind of add some stuff. Like, would it be done right?
I mean, but we already have have a stadium. That's the thing.
What was that?
We already have a stadium.
Right, and it's like how real is this?
You know, and it's
billions of dollars. You're gonna see that company like payment, you know what I mean?
I think given the fact that they haven't actually made public any reputable research that says that it's bad is pretty telling. I think if they didn't have anything to hide, they would just show us that.
Right.
And as somebody who lives close to the crossroads and goes there all the time, I've worked there. I love
Time to switch. Is there anything that gives you pause or anxiety about a downtown stadium?
oh, we were supposed to answer them.
It's like I see how there's like a draw to it. It's like why? It's like if our sports teams are so freaking good, how is there not revenue being generated by that? Like if we're doing all these Super Bowls, World Series or whatever, I'm like then why aren't we just like able to pay for it? With
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, the billionaires are getting free shit from the government. It almost sounds like socialism. Oh no, but they can't be that because they don't want that, right?
Right, they're just kind of like, well, why don't? Where they're like, we're doing so good that yeah, like we'll eat unless you guys buy us a new house. It's kind of what it seems like. It's kind of like a slimy way to do business.
Listen, if they do leave, we should sue. Seriously, there has to be a way we can sue for that shit. You know?
Gotta be something.
Yeah.
Not very much in person, so I don't know.
Is there anything to add?
30 more seconds.
I've lived here my entire life, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody complain about having to go outside. Nobody's ever been like, man, this sucks.
Alright, let's go ahead and turn our chairs back around.
Plenty of space.
Thank you all so much for participating in our fun activities. All right, and now I do want to get to hear from a few of you. We're a little short on time, so if you want to answer, go ahead. What is something that excites you about a downtown stadium? Anyone want to share? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. I love that. Anyone else want to share? Wait, I see, here, you and then Adam on stack.
The one thing that would excite me about a stadium is if we put a piece of truth, mainly to try to hit our red line and try to kind of dissolve that a little bit. That would be exciting to me if we could have some racial equality in the city and really go through and talk about that we tried the red line out and it didn't work. You know, I'm pretty passionate about this city, and I think that red line is awful, mostly because it made the red line for all other cities. You know, there's some real history there, and we have history in baseball making a difference with racial segregation and racial equality. And, you know, I think we should lean into the aspect of what baseball actually did for us. I think it's super important.
It is important. Thank you so much for sharing. What was your name?
I'm Ryan.
Ryan, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for sharing. And Adam, would love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Adam. I think I like the walkability aspect of a downtown stadium. I like the idea that it's like near public transit, it's near the streetcar, it'd be cool to get to by bus. Like in a vacuum, if there wasn't any stadium and gentrification like wasn't a thing, I'd be like, yeah, I think downtown's the best place for it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Anyone want to share something that gives you pause or makes you feel anxious about a downtown stadium? Yes, I see right over here. Oh, actually, here, how about you stay over there? We'll get her on stack, or? Yes.
Well, if they built the downtown stadium, they want to put a grassy area over 670, which is going to create even more pollution situation because they're going to have to put in an extreme filtration system to pull all the emissions for the fields.
So we're feeling like maybe our infrastructure doesn't entirely support this. That's a really interesting point. What, right over here?
We lose tailgating, we lose the sense of community that we have. We enjoy every year with the Chiefs and then opening day and the rest of the season.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. The community aspect is really important. Thank you all so much for sharing your perspective today. One more? All right, do we have time for one more? Anyone want to share? Oh, looks like I have a hand raised over here and over here. All right. We'll have also more opportunities to share too.
Well, I'll make it short. I'll try to keep it. So, baseball is America's pastime. Am I wrong? Isn't that what they bill it as most of the time? So, like I asked them, we talked about this. If you have a family of 4 or 5, and they're talking about 40,000 parking spaces within a 15-minute walk of this new stadium. But let's be realistic. You get out of a ball game at 11:15 at night, you and your family of 4, 2 kids, want to walk 15 or 20 minutes to your car with some of the area the way it is, okay? At Royals, it will weed out a lot of the families that go to it. And I know this, I have kids and I have grandkids. And they build a stadium there, I'll never go to another game. I'm one person, but I won't, and my kids won't either. They love baseball. We make it a family, my dad's 83, we make it a family affair 4 or 5 times a year to go to the game.
Wow.
But you're gonna lose so many families. It's not a rich yuppie sport. And I don't mean that in a bad way or mean to offend anybody, but it's not. It's a family sport.
And what we're seeing right now is the expensive tickets going to the corporations, going to them. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for sharing that. We are hearing a lot about losing the experience of what going to the K is really like. We also, from the surveys that we were holding, we're also hearing folks are worried about their rent and their property taxes going up. We're worried about our transit systems and our infrastructure not being able to withstand this project. And we're also upset that we're being asked to pay for a billionaire's ballpark when there's so many other things that feel important in our city. How interesting. Well, thank you all so much for sharing today. I'm going to pass this off to Mel.
Thank you so much, Kimmy. Once again, y'all, my name is Mel. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a proud leader with KC Tenants. So I'm here to talk to you about the stories that the billionaires are telling us. These team owners, they've been out here with the mailers and the commercials, and they're saying a lot of things. What do they want us to believe about this tax? I want to hear from y'all. What have you heard? What are they saying? What do they want us to believe?
If we don't pay, they're gonna dip.
Oh, that's right. If we don't pay them, they're gonna dip out. Who else? Anyone? Riley? Sure. You guys sure? Okay. Looks like Wilson's running my over.
I literally, like Kimmy showed me some of the propaganda that they're handing out, and it literally on the thing says no new taxes when we are voting on a new tax.
Ain't that right? Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So look, billionaire John, okay, right here, he wants us to believe that the Royals are just a small market baseball team that got dealt unlucky hand, poor guys. They love Kansas City and Kauffman Stadium too. But gosh darn it, they got a bad batch of concrete. That concrete cancer, man. But it's a blessing in disguise, y'all. It's a blessing. Did y'all know that? Now John can do what he really wants to do, which is help the community, of course. And we, the people, all of us, all we need to do is give him $25 million a year for 40 years so he can build a brand new stadium. If we knew what was good for us, we'd say yes. Because downtown stadiums are great for local economies. But whatever you do, don't look up a study about it. We wouldn't want us to get caught up in details about displacement and loss of tax revenue for our wonderful children in our public schools. Or start asking too many questions about the fact that stadiums are so good for local economies. Why isn't the area around the current stadium thriving? Don't Don't worry about that stuff though, y'all. Don't do it. Just know, this is a good thing for Kansas City. Because Kansas City is cool. Didn't you know? This is capital P progress. And anyone who disagrees, you just must hate Kansas City. However, if for some crazy reason, not everyone is 100% happy with their ask, and the vote fails, they might just fail. You know, after all, running a baseball team is expensive. They might need to move. In the words of campaign consultant for the team, former Mayor Sly James, if you think the teams won't leave, roll the dice and try it. I just love being threatened, don't you?
We should sue.
So yeah, that's what the billionaires want. But what's true? What do we know from experience about projects like this? What do we know? Anyone?
They wind up costing more money.
Ooh, they wind up costing more money than they say. What about those jobs that they're talking about? Anyone?
Are those jobs good jobs?
Are those good jobs? Do they pay well? Heard some things from Frank over here.
No, and they're only available when there's a game going on too, so.
That's right. They're temporary, part-time, usually about 14 an hour. Had a friend that worked at the stadiums. Not for very long though.
Let me ask you this though, how many of those are new jobs? Because currently, all those employees working at the stadium where it is now.
That's right.
So.
They said new jobs, didn't they?
Any new jobs other than the 2.5 years of construction that's temporary.
That's right. I like you. We need to talk.
Losing parking attendants.
That's right. That's right. So the truth is that even if the Royals have the best of intentions, like they have this set that they are doing some amazing things for us. There's a long history of stadium deals hurting the communities that host them. While construction workers get a temporary boost from building a stadium, those benefits are always vastly outweighed by the tax dollars poured into the projects. In other words, the return is not worth the upfront investment. Nearly all economists agree that stadium deals like this never help the community that pays for them. Never. And screw it, while we're at it, let's really go there. Reply guys on the internet like to tell us that this isn't displacing any tenants. None at all. Let's make it clear. The businesses are tenants. And you heard from Rylan, there are actual tenants, poor and working class tenants who will be directly displaced if this stadium is built. And it's just a fact that when something like a glitzy new stadium goes into your neighborhood, your rent goes up. Period. We all know it. We don't need an economic study to tell us this because we live it. Though there are studies that will, we've lived through it, and we can't be gaslit. So what's the alternative? I've heard people say, well, if we don't give them what they want, they'll leave. Okay, let's talk about it. The last time this tax was on the ballot was in 2006. It was after a failed attempt at a similar tax 2 years prior in 2004, where voters did not approve a sales tax for stadium renovations. And you know what the teams did during that campaign? Can you guess it? They threatened to skedaddle. But you know what they didn't do?
Yeah.
They didn't skedaddle. That's right. The team stayed. They went back to the drawing board and they put a tax on the ballot 2 years later that passed. just to keep it an absolute 100 with y'all, because this part kind of pisses me off. No matter how you slice it, billionaire John saying, give me this money or we'll take the teams to Nashville is a straight up threat. It's the very definition of extortion. Someone who cares about Kansas City wouldn't play with its people like that. It wouldn't play with its loyal fan base like that. John Sherman doesn't care about us. He just cares about his bottom line. Speaking of money, we talked about the $2 billion that this tax would generate for the owners of these teams. But $1 billion is hard to imagine. For reference, $1 million is a lot of money. $1 billion is 1,000 millions. But how much is it really? So let's break it down a little bit. If $2 billion were going to the city's housing trust fund, instead of a new stadium, we could support the creation of 80,000 housing units. That's 533 apartment buildings with 150 units. For context, in 2020, there were around 1,800 people in the Kansas City metro area experiencing homelessness.
All right.
Oh, it's one of them.
With $2 billion, we could pay for 48,000 bus driver salaries, 57,000 sanitation workers, 500 miles of new sidewalk, and the list goes on. No joke. With $2 billion, we could effectively end homelessness in our city, provide enough housing for every person to have an affordable place to live, and revolutionize our transit system. And that's how much the Royals and the Chiefs want from Jackson County residents for their ballparks. For some reason, whenever the people want something, money that we need, for something that we need, like housing or mental health services, it's a whole fight. But when billionaires want our money, it's a handout. Billionaire welfare. That ain't right, and we deserve better. With that, I'm gonna hand it over back to Kimmy to set up our next exercise.
Amazing. So around the room, you'll see around me, these sheets of paper on the walls. Each of those pieces of paper represents an option for what we could spend our public money on. Affordable housing, healthcare, public transportation, public schools, infrastructure, public safety, sports stadium, or something else. When you walked in, you were given 3 Post-it notes on your cards. Get those out now, and we'll take the next few minutes to walk around this circle here and put 1 sticky note on your top 3 preferences for how you would like to see your tax dollars spent. And we're just going to take a few minutes to do that and then find your seat right after.
We're gonna cry again, but you also have one.
How are you?
How are you?
Good.
Hey, can I put all of mine on one?
Yes, you can.
All right.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. there a trash can over here? Pardon me.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much, everyone. Let's take a look at these results. Looks like the top ones we have would be affordable housing. We've got public schools and public transportation tied for second. And stadium has 2 votes. And when you see all this laid out in front of you, how does that make you feel? I would love to call on a couple of folks today. You in the back, Tomas? Yes, would you like to share?
What's the question again?
How does this make you feel when you see these laid out in front of you?
Cuando ves lo que pusieron, lo que tiene más votos, ¿qué opinas? Cuando ves que unos tienen más, otros tienen menos, ¿qué te hace sentir?
You can share why you voted on it too.
Es alegre porque todos queremos cosas públicas. Makes him happy because we all want public stuff, like things that we can share.
Y no sé, es interesante la infraestructura, no sé, porque también la infraestructura de una otra forma afecta al medio ambiente, afecta a la ciudad.
It's interesting to see that, for example, infrastructure didn't get many because that's something that, you know, affects the whole city.
Y si seguridad pública que tienen muy pocos también, pues,
but also public safety that doesn't have many. It's interesting to see that.
Hay que mejorar mucho en seguridad pública.
Because there's a lot to
Mejor
improve.
preparada la policía, pero
there's a lot to
comprarle
improve.
más armas, eso no.
There's a lot to improve in terms of public safety. Like, for example, you know, with the police, buying more guns won't work.
That's right.
¿Y lo que ves que tiene más? And the things that have a lot of post-it notes or post-its, it's a good thing. It's like confirms what he likes to see. Yeah.
Absolutely. Love that. Let's see, who else would like to share why they put their sticky notes where they did? And then over here, would you like to share? Whoever. Maybe Rylan raising your hand? Yes, Rylan, what's up?
I don't have to keep talking, other people can talk, but like, I put mine on affordable housing and on public transportation because homelessness is at an all-time high. And our public transportation system is garbage, and them making the bus fares free did nothing to increase the ridership. And we should invest more in it to make it good.
Yeah, I agree. Dylan, I'm sorry, Jake, did you want to say, and then maybe Dylan?
Yeah, I was just going to say public schools just because I think that all the extra programs, more programs for children is going to be better in the long run. It may not be beneficial today, but it would be in the long run.
Investment in the future, absolutely. Dylan, were you interested in sharing anything?
I can say something. One of the reasons that I selected affordable housing was because I understand, most of the things here kind of like intertwine and work together, right? But I feel like affordable housing for me addresses a whole lot of these things, right? Always connected with improving public health. It's always connected with improving public safety, especially. It addresses like whether like people have the students for schools have a house to go back to, right? So to me, it just addresses like a lot of things at once, which is also why I'm glad to see so many people put there too.
Yeah, affordable housing really addresses the foundational needs, it's true. And this also tells me that while the downtown stadium may be the only option that we've been presented with, it's definitely not the only one that's out there. And I believe our city is worth fighting for. I believe affordable housing is worth fighting for. I believe public transportation for all is not a pipe dream. And public schools, our kids deserve the best, right?
Amen.
Yeah, that's right. And it's just beautiful to be in a urban center. I guess one thing I want to leave y'all with is that when you see, when you are thinking about how you want your public dollars spent, and that you believe your public dollars should be funding goods for the people and not for billionaires, remember this. Remember tonight. And that none of this is radical, and you are not alone. Thank you. I'm gonna pass this off. Regina, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kimmy, so much. Thank you all for sharing your dreams and ideas on how our money could be spent in this city. So, hello again. My name is Regina. As I said at the beginning, this conversation, no matter what happens on Tuesday, will not be over on Tuesday. We plan to publish the results of our community listening, sharing with the public what we heard on doors, in surveys, and during these forums. Our union follows the leadership of people most impacted. And here in Kansas City, when it comes to the stadium deal and our tax dollars, that includes you. We'll use what we've heard to develop our long-term demands as it relates to the stadium, of course, but even beyond that, our money. If you want to get involved, there are a number of ways to get plugged in. You can come knock doors with us this Saturday, talk to your neighbors. You can work the polls with us on Tuesday. I'll be there Tuesday evening. You can join us at the tenant union as a member. You don't have to be a renter. You can be a bank tenant, aka a homeowner paying your mortgage. Or you can text 10 people our voting guide. And we have our QR code here for the voting guide. You can pull out your phones, scan the code with your camera to get involved. And if you did not sign in whenever you got here, please sign in at the front. We also have some papers up there with all of the QR codes and this information. And here at KC Tenants, we believe everything we're doing is worth evaluating. So I'm going to hand it over to Wilson to do a little eval for us tonight.
Thank you, Regina. Okay, so in KC Tenants, we always, at the end of our meetings, we do an evaluation, and usually we start with feeling wise. So I want to ask people in the crowd, how are you feeling tonight after 90 minutes talking about a Royal Stadium?
Gaslit, but there are people that feel how I feel.
Thank you. Okay, Fazzy, did you want to go?
I feel validated. Mike already said it. I feel validated because it's just you would not believe like the young people should have been dealing with these last few. I'm sure y'all actually will believe that. Y'all believe, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I feel hopeful because, it's, really hard, in today's day, things are really depressing with what's going on in the world, and it's really good to see a good group of people here actually coming together to actually, get something good done.
Yeah.
So, I'd say helpful. Hopeful.
What's your name?
Walter.
Walter?
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
I feel powerful. Yeah, just the threats and stuff. People taking away that revenue for the city. We can say no, guys, and we can deal with it if it happens. Like, we don't have to cave into these people. That's true. Yes.
I was thinking about housing.
What's your feeling, Warren?
Okay, my feeling, I'm somewhat satisfied because I want a stadium, different people. But my issue is intelligence are the one. I know you guys have affordable housing, and intelligence are the ones that puts a lot of people down because they can't pay intelligence. I think that's what we should push for, because we need to get intelligence to get these people water, gas, lights, because you might have a house in one of these complexes and there's no water in there.
What's your name?
I'm Bill.
Bill, all right, next time we're adding utilities.
Yeah.
Because it's a good point. We do need water, we do need electricity, we do need gas.
I feel connected and proud. I feel connected because I live in this neighborhood in the Northeast, and I see some neighbors I know and love here, but I also have met some neighbors for the first time tonight. And I feel proud because this was an amazing, informative event, and I'm honestly emotional at the idea that there's a packed out room at the public library where we have bilingual political education about tax policy. That's like nerdy and amazing, and I love that for us.
Thank you. All right, you're closing us out. How do you feel?
I'm good. I'm great. That's my feeling. Where?
I'm glad I came. I live in South Kansas City, so, but I hung out with the Italians when I was 18 years old, the Comisanos and Bonadanas and Sabellas, so I'm familiar with this area. But one thing I wanted to say was, in looking at all your listings up here, and some have more than the other as far as your stickers, they're all important. You have to prioritize them at the immediate time that you're dealing with as to what you need to put 1, 2, 3, and 4. But all of these things are important for a community, a city, a county. When I moved to Kansas City, South Kansas City was the county. It wasn't the city. And we struggled. We were out in the country.
Dan was out in the cut.
So it was kind of like what you're going through now. You had to fight for streetlights and just about everything you can get, you know. So I understand what you're doing, and I think it's a great cause. But don't forget, all these things are important. Don't put one except when it's a priority at that time.
So what I hear is Dan is a big fan of Casey Tenants. And we're a big fan of Dan. Thank you so much for coming. We're glad you came too. So I am feeling connected as well.
I'm also a political activist in Kansas City.
Dan's a political activist in Kansas City, so he's found his organizing home finally in Casey Tenants. Okay, so I am so glad that you all came to join us today. We're about to close out, and I want to thank you, but I want to share a poem before we leave, which is by a organizer in Miami named Philip Agnew.
Yeah, that's right.
What's that?
Interpreters. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I will. Okay. Okay, let's do it now, though. I want to thank the interpreters who are in the room. Can we all give her a big round of applause? Thank you, Mary Allison, who's not here, for translating the outline. Everything is such a big role, and this wouldn't have been possible without you. Thank you. Okay. So Philip Agnew. Childcare. And childcare. Okay, yeah. Childcare. Okay. Shout-outs. Anybody want to shout me out? Just kidding. Okay. Always. Okay. So, yes, I'm leaving you all with a poem by Philip Agnew, who is an organizer in Miami, and that is a city that has dealt with a lot of gentrification themselves and is a sister in this fight with us. So, now there are those that will tell you that corporations magically make this world go round. They'll tell you that businessmen keep the lights on, that they have the power to call on the sun and send it home at night. They'll tell you that developers bring life into this world, that they have the power to call on the sun and send it home at night. Oh, I just said that, didn't I? Okay. They'll tell you that developers bring life into this world, that their buildings can revive the blighted and make the slums walk again. They'll tell you that bankers and investors are great angels from on high that descend from heavenly penthouses with messages from the bank of God. They'll tell you that their stadiums and malls and arenas and co-working spaces will heal your yearning for community, that parking lot should be a coffee shop, that beauty supply should be a brewery, that your grandmother's home, that one where you learn to read, to braid hair, to fight, to count, to love, that one where your grandmother raised you and cooked for you, that home would be better as an Airbnb. They'll tell you that your city looks cleaner when it's made of glass, that your block looks better with city bikes on the corner, that your town looks more attractive with tech tax incentives. But we have gathered here today to declare that we live here, in this city still. We are not blood and bones to build over. We are not roads to pave over. We breathe, we love, we work, we build, we live here, in this city still. Thank you.
Amen.